Are you the podcast lady?
Oh, this is starting to work. This is starting to happen.
Well, I used to be a helicopter pilot.
No, thank you.
If you think that was big, we got something even bigger.
It's actually a serial killer museum.
Might I recommend you get Tony Danza? Have you ever missed a place that technically isn't there anymore? Not just the building or the rides, not just the music, but the feeling of it. For many people who grew up here or vacationed here, the old Pavilion area was more than an amusement park. It was where you met your friends, where your family walked after dinner, where summer felt like summer. So when people talk about downtown Myrtle Beach today, there's a lot wrapped up in that conversation. Memories, and maybe even a little grief for what used to be. But downtown Myrtle Beach is not just a story about what's gone. It's also a story about what's being built. Restaurants are opening, events are bringing people together, and behind all of that is a very small team working on a very big mission. Today on Coasting, we're talking with Jason Greene, Marine veteran, community leader, including his current role as president and CEO of the Myrtle Beach Downtown Alliance. The topic? The complex, exciting, and important work of helping downtown Myrtle Beach become a place again. I'm your podcast host and local Myrtle Beach area realtor, Celia Klein. It's time. We're coasting. Hi, everyone. Aunt B, I have been waiting for this moment. We have two pieces of big news.
Oh, we have so much going on and so much to talk about.
I
can't wait.
I know. Okay, all right. So the first one is a story. Is everybody ready? So there we were. Aunt B and I, right? Okay, can you believe this? I know.
Oh my gosh.
So we were having our podcast prep meeting conversation at a local restaurant that you'll hear about in a little bit. And, we're just chit-chatting away, enjoying a wonderful meal, and we're about ready to get up.
And
this
patron gets up out of her seat and she comes running over to us and she says, "Are you the podcast lady?" And we're like, "Oh my gosh, we got recognized."
We couldn't believe it. We were
holding our breath till we got outside, and then we went, "Ah!"
I mean, we were trying to be all chill, like, yes, that's us. Yes. And of course, we were talking about just how, grateful we were that she watched. And she said she saw the one about how to pronounce Chanticleer. Remember that?
Right. Which was
she
me.
found us on TikTok. And so we're just so grateful. So Eileen, thank you. I don't know if you noticed our actual reaction when we did walk out of the restaurant, but she's right. We turned to each other and we're like, oh my gosh.
But now, wait. If you think that was big,
okay,
we got something even bigger.
Oh my gosh. All right. I know what this is. And for you, it is.
Yeah. So just to start off, I'm sitting in my living room and my phone starts to like bing, 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 bing. And it's Michael and it's Celia and it's Lauren and everybody's texting me. And guess who's going to be at the Greg Rolls Legacy Theater?
Tony Danza?
Tony Danza!
Yes.
Greg, listen to me. He heard me.
So for those of you who have not watched the episode with Greg Rolls from the Greg Rolls Legacy Theater in North Myrtle, that was where, and we've actually shared it on 2 episodes,
yes,
that Aunt B's like fave performer on stage, Tony Danza, okay?
My childhood crush.
And literally, I think she has a poster on her wall still, okay? So sure enough, I mean, maybe just a few days after that episode went out into the world, you see the Facebook post that has the coming in October, Tony Danza. We went, skip, what? I mean, so in other words, we have to do a straight shout out. Whoever at Greg Rolls Legacy Theater was able to get Tony Danza booked here in North Myrtle Beach.
Thank you.
There is one woman who thinks that was particularly done for her.
So who's with me? It's October 25th at the Greg Rolls Theater.
All right.
And I think we all have to go, and we have an Aunt B section.
We're there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, we need to get those tickets now because they need to be front row.
Yes.
Because at that point where he goes, is there any, when he puts out his, it has to be you that's going on stage with him, right? I mean, yeah, it's got to. So yeah, it's big, people. It's big. We got a lot going on. But then let's also talk about social media. Wow. Thank you all. We are feeling pretty sassy now with all these followers.
We have followers.
Yes, through the world TikTok. Of
we're on Instagram. We're on Facebook.
Exactly.
We got people commenting and liking and all this stuff. And
I know.
We are so grateful. Thank you.
So really quickly, when you're starting from scratch, which is, we did back in November, you just have no idea what's going to really, happen. Is it just going to be your relatives and your neighbors who go, that's nice, dear. Good job. That's great. And here we are. All of a sudden, we've got over 1,000 followers on TikTok. I like to call that the tick. And then Facebook, we have jumped recently. By the time this probably goes out to the world, we'll probably be over 1,000 followers there as well. And yeah, so what's nice to see is that some of our clips, for example, do you guys remember Adam Emmerich from the city of Conway? Mm-hmm. And one of the clips that our social media guru put together was the one about, is Coastal Carolina really in Conway or is it in Myrtle Beach? People, we had no idea that was going to take off the way it did. It has been viewed over 100,000 times. Just that one clip. Yes. And then so also you guys remember when we had the meteorologist, Jamie Arnold, Andrew Dockery. Okay, so we did one of theirs and it was about when a new meteorologist comes into a new market and you got to figure out how to pronounce all the town names, right? So we did a little blurb on that. Oh my gosh, that one, like within a hot minute had like 67,000 views. So
people whose grandfather was
wanted to make sure we knew how to pronounce some stuff. So let me tell you, these are fighting words if you don't know how to pronounce it correctly, right? So what's fun is it's connection, people, right? It's about, you're going to teach us, we're going to teach you, we're going to, our whole podcast is about helping people find their people, place, and pace. So in the Myrtle Beach area, there's a lot of that going on. So we're just really, really excited about that. Also, 2 more pieces of news. I feel like we're doing like school announcements. Like we just got so much going on here.
We had school announcements.
Now, I was going to say, now they let the kids read the announcements.
Oh, they didn't do that.
Oh, yeah. In Catholic school, no, you ain't getting anywhere near that microphone.
After the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah. And it was usually the vice principal.
Right. Exactly. So, okay. So here's the news. Mark your calendar. Friday, October 2nd. Because we have had such a great connection and engagement with all the episode regarding the city of Conway, they have actually invited us to be part of Halloween, South Carolina. Oh. So yes, we're excited about this.
We are. This is unbelievable.
We're going to be doing one of our broadcasts from, I think it's known regularly as the Terrace area, but during Halloween, it's known as the Terror area. So we will lend ourselves to the scary and the terror while we're there, but we are very, very excited about that. So that one is October 2nd, October 2nd. And then, we've got, let's see, one other thing, which I wanted to bring up, and that was we're going to be talking today, of course, about downtown Myrtle Beach and all this exciting new energy that's coming into that area. And I wanted to make sure that everybody knew there is a brand new theater that is opening there.
Oh, yeah.
Super excited about that. And Mary Poppins is the first show that's going to be there. So we wanted to make sure we added that in there. So,
and I like theater.
Yes, exactly. So now we've got all kinds of stuff going on in downtown. And one of the things we want to talk about is the awesome restaurants. And so we had a chance to go to enjoy one. Right. And so I think it's time. This is
where we got recognized.
Aunt B is ready for her Yummy to the Tummy segment.
So we were in Winner's Kitchen. It's on 9th Avenue, 9th Avenue North, right near the new Grand Strand Brewery. Mm-hmm. And it's a breakfast and lunch place. It's open 6 days a week from 8 till 3. And some great, great dishes. So if you want to go to a normal breakfast place, I'm sure you've got a million of those to choose from. Winner's is anything but normal.
Agree.
It's
Yes.
very unique. In addition to Jess's baked goods, right? The croissants and crispy treats and banana pudding. The menu items are just outrageous. Like, we got to sample a few. I'll point out 3 that really left an impression with me. So one is called the Queen's Men, and it's a combination of French toast and bread pudding.
Oh.
And you put it all together, and it's served to you in this like casserole dish. It's croissants and custard and
So what you're telling me is just go ahead and bring my pillow to the restaurant, because I will totally be sleeping after I have this.
second one
Okay.
is Jess's grandma, Millie, special recipe for ricotta pancakes. And it's called Silly Millie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ricotta pancakes with layers of homemade lemon curd in between and smothered in blueberry compote.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good. Third one, which was one of my favorites, because I'm a more of a savory breakfast person, was the 20-minute made-to-order cast iron omelet.
Yeah.
So you pick your ingredients, you pick your veg, you pick your cheese, you pick your meat if that's what you want, and the egg is like custardy. So it's not just a plain omelet egg. It's actually in this cast iron little skillet, and it takes 20 minutes. You have to order it. You have to wait for it. And it comes out all puffy and
Perfect. Just perfect.
yummy looking. Yeah, really, really yummy looking. But one more thing about Winners is they have something in common with Celia.
Oh gosh, what is that? I cannot cook like she can. I'll tell you that.
They've both been on the Today Show.
All right, one of those is a truth, one of those is a lie. I was like back behind the glass going, hi.
But you were on TV, and Jess was there cooking with Al Roker. So yeah, I guess it's a little bit different. But you've both been on the Today Show.
Oh, well, alrighty then. I'll run with it. I'll run with it.
So that's my yummy to the tummy.
Well, and
segment
I
for
want to
today.
make sure the basics, right? Okay, plenty of parking. All right.
Yes.
So make sure that you know that. Even though
Parking lot right across the street.
literally right across the street. Okay. And we want to talk about, to me, I think of this as one of those perfect, I think like, an urban breakfast spot.
Yes.
It's you will be, as we did, start talking to the table next to you. It's just, so get ready for good chit chat.
It's one of
okay?
these places where,
Yeah.
oh, what are you having? And what are
Right,
you
yeah,
having?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's kind of like food as art,
Yes.
or food as, kind of presented to you like it's a performance, like the food's on stage. It's like angels are singing. Oh, it was unbelievable.
So go visit Winners.
Yes.
Take your company.
Yes.
You want to show them downtown Myrtle, and tell Jess that Aunt B sent you.
Love it. Good one. Very good one. I am so excited that we get to bring on Jason Greene. He is the president and
Me
CEO
too.
of the Downtown Myrtle Beach Alliance. And he is going to talk about, all of these exciting things that are happening in this area, some of which, people who vacationed here are very familiar with it. My goodness, has it changed maybe since you vacationed? But more importantly, for those of you who just moved here and you're going downtown Myrtle Beach, well, guess what? We're all going to learn about it when we come back from this break.
We've been talking about the Myrtle Beach Museum of Art's spectacular exhibit, A Lasting Impression, and it's been getting rave reviews from both members and visitors. You may recognize the look of a piece or the name of the artist, but wouldn't you be curious to get a little more behind-the-scene information? A great way to do that is take one of the museum's weekly docent-led tours. Only $5 for members and $10 for not yet members. These tours are offered every Friday at 10:30 a.m. until the exhibit concludes at the end of September. You may be surprised by many of the artists' individual stories. Get your tickets in person or visit the museum's website, myrtlebeachartmuseum.org.
Welcome back to Coasting. Today we are joined by Jason Greene, Marine veteran, community leader, and currently president and CEO of the Myrtle Beach Downtown Alliance. Jason is helping lead one of the most delicate and yet Herculean efforts in our area, bringing new energy, investment businesses, events, and gathering spaces back to downtown Myrtle Beach. We'll talk about what downtown once meant, what it is becoming, and why helping a place matter again takes patience, consideration, partnership, and a whole lot of work. Everybody, please welcome Jason to Coasting. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Celia. Appreciate you having me on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you. So you have seen a lot of the world. So we always like to ask our guests, what made you choose Myrtle Beach? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons. Maybe we can bring it down to 3. What do you think?
3 reasons why. Well, I came here for love, obviously.
Aww.
You know, met my wife right before I deployed to Iraq. And so when I moved here, I decided to ask her to be my wife, and that's how I ended up here.
See, we only need one reason. That's enough right there, right? Okay.
But I really fell in love with the community. I was part of Leadership Grand Strand Class 26. Got to really learn about Horry County and the city of Myrtle Beach through that program, which was really wonderful, by the way. And I just fell in love with how giving this community is to one another, and it made me want to get involved in more civic-oriented type activities.
And involved you have been, my friend. My goodness. So you know, obviously we have so many people here. We always talk about, and in a few of our episodes, how we are we'll call it veteran friendly and just really supportive of our veteran community. And so one of the questions I love to ask, and you're already
laughing,
joking because it's, how would your colleagues or your circle that you're doing this work with know, Jason is definitely a Marine.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is I always show up on time, and if it's not just on time, it's 5 minutes early, because then you're late if you're beyond that. So that's the first thing.
Okay, good.
Very dedicated to the mission of anything that I do, and then certainly just very focused. I think that those are probably what my friends would tell me about myself.
Yes, so. I'm sure when you have your we'll call them staff meetings, you're probably like, if somebody does that quick diversionary, like, oh, do you remember that time? You're like, and no, and we're coming right back here.
I'm not as disciplined as I used to be with that kind of stuff, but yes, I mean, we have an agenda and we follow it.
So you have been in the Myrtle Beach area, you said, since 2003. And, I really want to hear about the word potential. What was it that you saw that made you believe this was work worth saying yes to?
Well, I worked in the nonprofit industry since 2014 after my first daughter was born, and I really love nonprofit work. And when I saw an opportunity to come to the Myrtle Beach Downtown Alliance, I was like, this is really everything that I've learned about this community, everything that I've done from the nonprofit side, kind of all rolled into one. And I saw it as a really neat opportunity to really dive feet first right into something that I think really this community really loves. And I've learned that more and more and more over the last 3 years that I've been here about how much the community loves downtown Myrtle Beach.
And to your point, I think many of you, if you are familiar with what downtown Myrtle Beach was, which we're going to talk about, there is some very strong emotion. So I'm sure there are some people who would look at the position you have and go, no, thank you. Right? So it really is a testament to your commitment and your focus on seeing something that you love and feeling like, I think there's a way to get that back.
Yeah, I think that this job does require a tremendous amount of passion to really be thoughtful with the way that you go about actually affecting the change that will come. It's not as easy as I think one would think from the outside, just do this and it will solve the problem. I think it's multi-layered, multifaceted, and there's a lot of nuance to the work that really has to take it into account.
So when we talk about the downtown that was, people, like we said, they talk about the old Pavilion area, what do you think they're really missing?
I think it's the feeling that everyone has when they've been in downtown, and this is multi-generational, right? This goes back to grandparents and great grandparents loving the downtown area of Myrtle Beach. It used to be the only thing around. And so when you start passing that on from one generation to the next, and there's this nostalgic feeling, this feeling that everyone has about how fun it was. They may have met their cousin or their future wife or husband at the Pavilion site or anywhere on Ocean Boulevard. And those are really deep rooted feelings that people have. And one thing that I've learned more recently is that, the downtown area outside of the tourism season of years past, it was 9 months the playground of the locals, right? And so the locals have a love for downtown because that's where they used to gather once the tourists left. And I think it's a really important part to capture as we look at the history and the emotional connection that people have to downtown, and really capturing that in terms of how we elevate that as we move forward to bring locals back. It's going to be a really important part of our mission.
Right. And when we had the episode earlier this year about it was the Myrtle Beach history tour, and she was great about talking about that was really a place that everyone converged. It wasn't just a certain group, and how music played and dance played such a big role in that space. So why is it important, or why does it matter when we talk about downtown today to know what is beloved from back then?
So looking at kind of the current state of downtown, I like to look at future states and current states, and even also a nod back to the past. I think the past is very informing as to how we got to where we are today. And then like where we're going is very important to be able to know like where our starting point is and how we get to where we want to be. So I think as we look at all of that, I think going back to the history component of this, there's a tremendous culture in downtown that seems to be buried under rhetoric and lots of other things that are out there. So we need to figure out a way of elevating that. There's a tremendous history. The culture is fantastic. If you spend time like I do in downtown during the day, you learn this. You learn the sentiment. You learn the exciting things that people are really excited about in downtown. So using that as fuel, you kind of say, okay, this is where we are. How do we get to where we need to go? And so unfortunately, it's not a straight line. There's a lot of things that have to be done at the same time, but you should have a plan. And the plans, take time to unfold over time. And if it's really meaningful work, it's going to take some time to do right.
How does the Alliance and the other partners that you're working with, as an example, we had on Jessica, who was the architect for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and they talked about how they received information from a variety of people and means to learn about how they wanted this to look. Do you also, or have you also offered that to the community? Yeah.
So we, in the first couple of years, when I took over for the Downtown Alliance, we did a tremendous amount of community input. Largely, we felt that the downtown master plan, which is fantastic, the version that City Council adopted in 2019, and then the supplemental development framework that was adopted in 2020. Those are really great governing documents in terms of casting the vision and understanding like what direction we need to head in. But there were some gaps. And I think the gaps were largely kind of steeped in what the community thought about the vision and about the framework. So we have had a host of community input meetings since then. I think we did 15 or 16 formal community input meetings around the design guidelines for downtown. What do you want the streets to look like? What do you want the lighting to be? What do you want the buildings to look like? Those are really important pieces. What do you want public art to do? And how you want that to elevate kind of the history and the culture? So we kind of codified all of those in design guidelines. And then we did a supplemental study that we raised private money for to do a residential plan for downtown. How do we bring people to live into downtown? And what does that look like? And how do we move that forward while also taking care of the tourism aspect of downtown, which is certainly very important to the livelihood of all the businesses in downtown as well. So how do we merge those two together? And the advanced residential plan, as we call it, is kind of the codification of all of that. So now what we're doing is, because now that all of the kind of the fundamental hierarchy of documents is done, now we're really getting down into the street level, talking to folks that work or live on the streets. Say, well, what do you think? What would you like your street to look like? What's important to you? what should we be emphasizing or not. And so we've started that pilot back in November of last year. We piloted 2 blocks, as I like to say, which is really just a segment of street that has a very significant cultural aspect to it. And then really started inviting the community to come in and tell us what they want. So there's some formality to that. And then we have some informal things as well that we do to kind of collect what people are telling us. So we think it's important to collect that information. It's good for grant writing. It's good for lots of other things that we can do to make a strong case that this community wants our downtown to become this, while we kind of drive it towards the future vision.
So one of the things that I want to make sure we do in this episode is to really educate on what is the downtown area, because I'm sure it must be somewhat frustrating in your efforts that when people think downtown, the word you only hear probably is the Pavilion.
Yeah.
And so maybe twofold is one, when someone says it'll never be the Pavilion again, as well as, just talking about the area. What's your response? How do you carefully get to, going, hey, did you know this,
So it's funny you say, like, where's the downtown area? So when I first started, I started asking folks this question, like, well, where do you think it is? Like, and so no kidding, probably 400 conversations I had with folks over the last 3 years asking where downtown is and where it ends. And I had 400 different responses.
Okay. Oh dear.
So the idea is everyone has a pretty good idea of where the center of it is, but not really sure where the north and south or even western kind of terminuses are of downtown. So there's a focus area that we're focusing on that's kind of codified in the vision of downtown, which is really between 3rd Avenue South and 16th Avenue North.
Okay, 3rd Avenue South to 16th Avenue North.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then westerly, it's west of Kings Highway, but it kind of makes this, weird turn here and there, mostly Broadway Street. I think even back to the 501 3rd Avenue South intersection. So when you start looking at that area that we're looking at, it's a pretty large area to focus on. And so we have to be very careful of how we navigate through that, because as you can see from the size, there's certainly a lot of different cultural aspects that we want to ensure that we understand fully before we start to develop plans to kind of move forward in different areas.
So from, within this, downtown Myrtle Beach, we hear the phrase of Arts and Innovation District. What's that?
So that's, I guess what folks used to call it is the old super block area. That's probably the majority of the space that would be the Arts and Innovation District now. It has some offshoots to the west of Oak Street and a little bit of Broadway Street near the Vietnam House and those areas. But the Arts and Innovation District is really at the very center of the geographic area I just described. And it's meant to be a place where artists and technology can really collide. And it's a really exciting place. All the transformation you're seeing now on Oak Street and eventually on 9th Avenue North, as you mentioned earlier, is a really important part of this transformation that's happening in downtown. It doesn't mean it's the end. It's really at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so we have many years ahead of us as seeing transformations like this happen.
I'm going to ask the audience, how many of you have ever heard of HTC Aspire Hub? Anybody? Oh, look at that. Okay, that's our next question, Jason, because literally one person has heard of it before in the audience, and we're packed in here right now, okay?
So the HTC Aspire Hub, and there's a nonprofit that operates out of it called Emerge. They're an entrepreneur support organization for those that are not familiar with what Emerge is, but they're essentially helping build the innovation economy in the city of Myrtle Beach. And by doing that, they work with entrepreneurs that are starting new tech companies and really helping them get the resources they need to be able to move their business forward.
And so when we talk about tech companies, I'm just giving an example here. Should I happen to know an unbelievable social media guru who is just taking off with her business, might that be someone based upon the technology she's using be a potential candidate for space there?
Absolutely. If they're creating new technology and want to see that kind of move forward, it's a really great way of actually finding the resources, even just making connections with one another. I'd say that's a really valuable part of that space is to make connections to folks that might help you be able to build the technology you're trying to create or to do other things that you may not even have thought of. It's really a great sounding board for entrepreneurs when you're trying to solve a problem that no one's ever solved before, and then finding the resources here locally that can actually help you do it.
I think that's so exciting. I need someone in that hub to teach me Claude, and I need that. Okay,
they have great workshops there, so check out their website.
Okay,
it's really remarkable.
Now, as a real estate agent, I always like to, I love to hear about that part of this overall mission and concept has to do with housing.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we, as part of the development framework that was approved by City Council in 2020, it talks about having a viable downtown. And based on the current number of houses long-term in downtown and the number we would need to be a viable year-round economy in downtown, we have to add on the magnitude of somewhere between 2,800 and 3,000 more units into downtown, long-term residential into the downtown area. And so in order for that to happen, we have to have a plan to be able to figure out how to get that moved into downtown. So our analysis that we had looked at, there's probably 2,200 acres combined, or I'm sorry, 200 acres of vacant land or underutilized land in downtown, but it might be a tenth of an acre and it might be a half an acre at a time. So what that tells us is that the best way to actually achieve that is using what they call the missing middle type of housing, right? So not your traditional single family home or your traditional fourplex. It might be something else that's somewhat in between that and a high rise.
Okay.
And so that's where all of the work that we've done, all of the analysis that we've completed, all the studies that we've done, help us find out where the best place for that missing middle would be. And that's what we're focused on with our strategic plan and some of the goals that we have is to really drive that kind of missing middle type housing here into downtown and to really make sure that that's bringing the folks in to live into downtown.
And so from just a quick logistics standpoint, we'll stick with that topic for just a second. How many different groups are you talking to about that topic that could make something like that happen?
Dozens.
So it's the landowner, okay, developer. You got to get infrastructure, so you got to talk to your city. You know, who else would be in that conversation?
Well, it depends, and it also depends on where it's located in downtown. So certainly every department of the city management, the economic development directors. I mean, these are just some within the city council as well. We work with the Greater Myrtle Beach Collaborative and their sibling organizations as well, like the Visit Myrtle Beach and the Chamber of Commerce and Partnership Grand Strand. All very important to understand, like, what those organizations are trying to affect in downtown, and then how our role and our work with developers and landowners all kind of come and collide together to really make what we need to be able to drive things forward. So it's a lot of coordination, which is really what's required for all of this, and great partnerships between every entity that's involved in doing this.
So the part on your resume that says infantry is probably really why they picked you, because
well, I used to be a helicopter pilot.
Yes, I mean, it's like all this little, all the, or I don't know about you guys, but I just think about all those different groups, and they all, that is a unique group network you are working with. So, I mean, delicate is clearly, clearly the word. So
I've had to learn how to be delicate, obviously. But that's okay.
Well, I mean, the timing, right? When to be delicate and when you got to go, all right, the bullseye's there, I'm going for it, right? So
I think part of it is making sure that the coordination is there, right? That was always a big part of any military operation I ever performed, is the coordination amongst all the folks that were experts. We have a lot of experts, from city council all the way down to our staff and everything in between, city staff and our partner staffs. They all have something to say, and they have a voice at the table so that we can bring all of that together and kind of move us all forward in one direction.
So if somebody hasn't been in downtown in a while, let's start talking about if they were, in the car driving down, we'll say Kings, and what are 3 things, signs of progress that you want to make sure you're like, have you seen, have you noticed? Did you, tell us about some of those?
So if you haven't been on Broadway Street between Highway 501 and 3rd Avenue South, the street is transforming. We've had some new restaurants and new businesses show up there, which is really great. It's actually changed the streetscape quite a bit. We've added lights to trees, so at nighttime it's a little brighter than it used to be. And there's other things that are going on that street as well. So that's a really interesting comment that I hear from tourists. There's a new museum there on the street, and it's actually a serial killer museum. But
did you guys know that there's a serial killer museum on Broadway? How many people did you know we had a Broadway in downtown Myrtle Beach? Yeah. Okay, so you knew that street existed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're making it.
But the most frequent comment I get is like, I didn't even know this street was here. And so, which I think is pretty interesting. That's where my office is. And so it's interesting to hear when I'm walking down the streets, I'm like, oh, this street is great. It reminds me of Main Street back home. And that's exactly the kind of feel that you have on Broadway Street. It feels like Main Street back home. And then when you're on 9th Avenue, as you mentioned before, that street is certainly transformed in terms of the business mix that's there now. But the streetscapes are getting ready to start changing in September.
Okay.
So a lot of what you're seeing on Oak Street now, once Oak Street's complete, they'll move over to 9th Avenue, and that transformation will start to occur there. And that street will look vastly different than it does today.
Wow.
So a lot of, pavers and things that you see on Oak Street now, you'll actually see on 9th Avenue. And then there's other streets that will be done as well. So even the section of Broadway Street between 501 and 8th is a really, really good representation of what you're going to see on some of the other streets.
Do you just have this massive to-do list in your office, and when something happens, you're like, oh, that feels good, just to cross that one off the list?
I have a never-ending to-do list, but I find that every time I add one or take one off, I add 10 more. So what role would you say the restaurants are playing in making downtown a place again? Well, restaurants in their own right are gathering places. People like to come and eat, and that's always an important part, whether it's family or friends. I like to take my friends to the local places in downtown because it's not what they see when they go elsewhere, right? So, and there's a few places I like to take them to, but restaurants are always great gathering places, or great microcosms of people gathering and communing over food and these sorts of things, which I think is a really important part of the experience of downtown. The idea is to say, don't just come for dinner. Why don't you come for dinner and go to a show? You mentioned the theater coming soon, and that's going to be really exciting. So dinner and a show, and then maybe a drink afterwards, right? Like that's a really important part of actually showing folks that it's livable.
Right.
Even on the early days before first house is built. We want to create an environment where people feel like they can run a portion of their day in downtown.
An experience.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So, this, as you have talked about the different dates, clearly this has been a venture and an effort that's been happening for quite some time. Yeah. And so when you see somebody like Strand Brewing that's been in existence for about 5 years, and I think about, all right, what kind of pitch, for lack of a better word, do you have to give any business to say, here's where we're going. Yeah. It's going to take us a hot minute to get there, but here's why we think it's worth it for you to be a partner with us now.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the businesses that had been in downtown through all of the years of trying to revitalize downtown. Of course, they've been the stakeholders, they've been the flag bearers. They certainly believed in the vision for a many long time. But Strand Brewery is a good example of a new pioneer, right? As I like to say, somebody that says, I'll take that bet. I'll be willing to put my stake in the ground in conjunction with the other businesses that are already here to see if I can make this work. In their 5-year anniversary, they just had it. It's great. It's a great place to be. And it's a really interesting place to add something that's different into downtown. So hopefully there's more to come in that respect. We have some great restaurants in that area, as you've already experienced. And so I think that as we complement the existing plus with new, then you start to see a different experience evolve in downtown, which is a key piece to our strategic plan, is creating the experience.
And so some of those experiences are also in the form of events.
That's right.
So the Myrtle Beach Art Museum, where we are right now, they are partners for the Oyster Roast. And so let's talk about some of those events, and how do you feel when you are seeing those events, or you see coverage of them and you're like, people are
Yeah.
they're coming.
Yeah, the events are an important part of place management, place
Mhm.
making, as they like to call the Downtown Alliance. Our type of organization is place management. So
Mhm.
in the early days, as you're moving things forward,
Mhm.
you're bringing events into downtown. Free to the public is always best. It gives folks an opportunity to come and experience what downtown is seeing. But I like to say that events are important because if you hadn't been to an event in a while, come and see the transformation while you're at the event.
Mhm.
Because something new is happening every single day in downtown. So if you weren't here last time and you missed it, come back next time, you might see
Right.
something totally different.
Right.
And it is a bit of a process, but it all feeds the overall goal of making this a livable, viable, and legible downtown as we go along.
So when we come back from our break that we're about to take, we're going to dive into some of those, logistics and the efforts and the partners that Jason's working with to make this all come about. We'll be right back.
It's time to take your chance. Literally, the museum is holding its very first fine art raffle. This is your opportunity to win 2 beautiful post-impressionist paintings by Eugène Begarat worth over $8,000. Only 200 tickets will be sold at $100 apiece, and the winner will be selected on the last day of the exhibit, September 27th. You can purchase your tickets in person or online at myrtlebeachmuseum.org.
Hey, everybody, we are back and we're going to dive into the weeds, as they say, because this work, his plate is full. And, I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, you must be running a group that's just all kinds of staff. And so I want you to share with everybody just how many people do you have that are helping you directly?
It's me and 2 others.
Oh,
so
dear.
we have 3, total of 3. We do get some interns too. We have a great partnership with Coastal Carolina. We'd
Okay.
like to, have the interns come in and work with us. So it gives us some part-time help. And we like the relationship with Coastal and Horry Georgetown Tech. Both institutions are great. We've had interns from both institutions, which has been really helpful for us. We try to be very specific to what our quarterly or seasonal goals are to make sure we're bringing the right intern to help us.
Right.
But it's been really great to
Good.
have that augmented help.
Yes,
as we do this.
absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. So what's one part of the downtown revitalization that to us might sound simple, but it's actually really complicated?
Well, you mentioned the housing earlier. There's actually multiple layers. I'm sure as a real estate agent that downtown as a market is from a housing perspective is pretty depressed compared to the other markets in the area. And there's a reason why we have federal designations that we do, like Opportunity Zone and New Markets Tax Credit Zone. They're all very important in terms of understanding kind of why downtown is kind of designated that way and why it's depressed in the way that it is. So the complication around kind of getting housing built is not so much that people don't want to build, it's just they have a lot of risk. So trying to mitigate that risk is probably the most complex thing to do. Like, how do you align the city management, city council, and our partners towards the idea that everything that we have to do is to mitigate risks so those pioneers, those early adopters will come in and start building some proof of concept housing that will allow us to show that, yes, you can live here and here's how it's going to happen. So that's probably the most complicated part, understanding incentives, how you stack those together, much like you do on the private side when they stack funding together to build a project. We have to do the same on the public side rather.
Right. And that's kind of my next question is just like, how much does that public-private cooperation matter for what you're trying to accomplish for downtown
it's the
Myrtle
most important thing that we should do is is strive to build that public-private partnership on almost every aspect of what we do. And so it's the most rewarding part too, when it really works well, I have to say. And we have a really great working relationship with the city and with city council to really drive all of this together. But it doesn't happen as fast as I think everyone would hope it would, because there's a lot of things that we have to look at to be able to make those things work.
And so, for those of you who have been in our area, so say, for example, one of the companies I think of is, the people whose names are on this museum, Burroughs Chapin, right? So that's a company and a family and groups that have been around here forever. And so whether it's them or any other private, tell me how they're receiving thus far this, this really generational change of this area.
Well, we work closely with Burroughs and Chapin and other developers in the area, other major stakeholders. I think the alignment is there. I mean, it feels like it. Every conversation we have is very positive towards the future vision of downtown. I think that it's the alignment exercise that's always required. It takes time to really make sure that we're doing things in the way that's going to advance the ball. And so I have found that the conversations have been very inviting and people are very curious about what we need to do, and very supportive. I would say that's probably the most important thing I take away. Every conversation I have is, it's not what I can do, it's how they can plug in, what can they do for the effort. And that's what I feel most of the time when I have conversations with folks, like, what are we missing? Like, what can we do? And that's really helpful.
And for those of you who are familiar with this effort, if you're wondering, why isn't she asking him about the land where the pavilion used to be? That is because he really, at this point, can't share anything about. That is an ongoing conversation that is, talk about delicate, that at the end of the day, everybody, I think the fair thing to say is everybody wants something good as a conclusion. Everybody wants, something that will serve the area best. But it's not like he's going to sit here and go, so we had a conversation and this is the latest, Celia. So I'd love that. But maybe one day, Jason, you'll come back and you'll give us a little bit of an inside scoop. Okay.
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Great. So tell me what it's, obviously people think the progress is slow. They may not really, I certainly don't understand the breadth of what all of this change is going to be, and that it's literally not going to be recognizable, when it's all done, type of a thing. So, what would you say is one of the misconceptions people currently have about this effort?
Well, I think one of the most current and probably most prominent misconceptions of downtown is it safe, right? I think I hear that more often than I hear not, right? And so I think it's important to understand that the city has made some great strides in cleaning up the public safety. I think it's really much better than it used to be. And I don't know if that's where the perception's coming from. We certainly have some dogs and cats we got to figure out as we go through this, but I think that there are pieces of downtown that are pretty remarkable. And I think the overall specter of like what people think of it is like kind of keeping them away. So like, give it a chance. Come down and take a look at Broadway Street and 9th Avenue, even Ocean Boulevard. It's vastly different than it used to be. And so I think it's important for folks to remember that this transformation is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. And then as things continue to progress, it's going to get more safe and it's going to feel more like home again, which I think is really the most operative part.
And I know you have heard people go, I believe it when I see it, Jason. And so, I know there's a part of you that understands that, but, kind of what part of you wants to say, hold my beer?
Yeah. Well, good thing you have Marine at the helm.
That's right. That's right.
Like, I don't give up on the mission. That's just the way it is. Like, this is part of who I am. It's part of my DNA. Like, we have to move this forward. And so if we make an inch of progress today, that's great. If we make a foot of progress tomorrow, that's even better. If we make a mile of progress in a couple of years, that's even great. So I think as long as we're pushing forward and constantly making progress, I think that's the best that we can hope for right now, is that we're constantly moving forward with this idea that this vision for downtown is really what the community wants based on all of the input that we've received. We're shaping it constantly and morphing it into what this community wants. It's not a singular vision that's just set in stone. It's going to constantly take community input to drive it in the right direction.
Right.
And so we're leaving that door open every single day, every single event that we have, every single community input meeting we have. We're constantly shaping kind of the fine details as we go. Like streets in their realignments and their refactoring and what they look like are probably not going to change in terms of what they look like. But you might have a new building someday. You might have a new this day. You might have an improved facade someday on a building that's been here for 50 years.
Right.
Like, those are important aspects of this place management and this transformation that's happening in downtown. So it's important for us to embrace that, but to allow the flexibility of what the community wants, what businesses want, what new businesses want in downtown to be able to drive it forward.
And talking about that, it's just it's important, and it makes me think about when we had Adam Emmerich from the city of Conway, and obviously the efforts they have made to change, and the word vision to me is so important because it's not like either place is going, we will be finished on August, and then and we will all pack it up and go home and be done. That a vision is going to continue to morph and grow and change. And so this is something that is literally, it's continuous. There is no end.
Yeah, I mean, communities need to continuously evolve as they go. Downtown is no exception to that. You saw a massive transformation over the last 30 years in Market Common, Grand Dunes for the last 20 or so years. And so when you start to see the length of time that those organizations took to see their transformation come, downtown is no exception to that. There's an added layer of complexity to downtown that you don't see in areas where you have just 2,500 acres of vacant land.
Right.
You have existing and you have lives in downtown that really need to be cared for and cultivated as you move this forward, because you can't arbitrarily displace somebody just because they've been living there for 50, 60 years.
Right.
You have to really care about, we want to do everything that we can to make sure that if you want to stay here, you can stay. While we're trying to also build new on that vacant lot next to your house that's been there for 70 years, right? Those are the kinds of things that we have to really care about and really focus on to make sure we're not doing something that will undo something else.
So for you, I mean, there's clearly, because we can start seeing, and we have been in the last 5 years seeing some changes. For you, what are some of the things that bring you energy, and when you see them you go, oh, this is starting to work, this is starting to happen?
I like talking to people that have a lot of energy, so this is really great for me.
Thanks.
To see somebody get excited about something as simple as getting a band to come that they really love into downtown at a park that's free, right? That's a really important part.
Might I recommend you get Tony Danza? I'm just gonna throw that out there for you, Jason.
Well, I used to watch Who's the Boss when I was a kid. So,
but did you know he was a singer, a performer?
I did not know he was a singer, but I remember watching Taxi with my dad. And so, but having a singer or a band that people like, that's a really important part. Even just having, we had a forger, the steel work come to one of our events one time. And they just did this demonstration. They got the audience involved, and it was really exciting.
Wow.
It was such a draw for people, and people were so excited. I can't believe I just picked up a hammer and bent some steel. Those kinds of things really kind of tickle me personally, because as I'm talking with folks and they said, I've never seen anything like this before. It's not that everything has to be so outlandish and so large that draws so many people. Certainly it's an important part to bring people into downtown to support the businesses. I get that. But when there's something small that people really pay attention to, that's what really gets me going. They notice something that we had a lot of care and thought behind, and they just notice the finest detail that you may not recognize. That's really what I like a lot.
Well, that's awesome. So from the standpoint of, what gives you hope when you walk through that area now?
I just think seeing the transformation, and that, this was the road project is a really important one on Oak Street right now in the alignment of 501 to 7th Avenue North. Really important parts of this. But when you start seeing pavement put down, okay, now this is real, right? You see a shovel in the ground. You don't know when that's going to be finished, but when they start putting that asphalt down, that's oh, this is real now. I can't wait to see that. You can't see what happens next.
I love that you're smiling, because it makes me think about we know there are skeptics. So if you could take 10 people who are it's never going to work, the Debbie Downers or whatever, you're going to take them Broadway, and where else are you going to walk them and just
as soon as Oak Street's finished, we're going to drive right straight for the first time in I don't know how long, down Oak Street, instead of that, going off and on to stay on Oak Street. So
tell us about, 10 years from now, 5 or 10 years from now, what would make you say that downtown Myrtle Beach is a place again?
I think based on what I think will happen on Oak Street, you're going to see some vertical development on either side, probably there.
And translation, vertical development.
Some housing, maybe some commercial space.
Okay.
I think that's a really important part of downtown's transformation, to see something that had been thought of and dreamt of, and now it's going to come to fruition. That's going to be a really important part, right? I have no idea what those projects will be or what they might be, but for the city to have some land adjacent to Oak Street that they can use to kind of bring a developer in, and then have more people living here and enjoying some green space, some new green space, hopefully, where you feel like you're part of a community again in downtown. That's going to be a really important part. It's an important milestone, at least visually to me, to see that all of the stuff, all of the work that happened to bring that to fruition, including digging in the ground and pulling up 100-year-old pipes, is an important part of that, right? It's interesting to kind of talk with the contractors and talk with the road workers and all of that, and really find out like what they're finding and then kind of where we're going to be. And to see that, at least in my mind, I hope the community sees that as well. Like this is going to be a pretty remarkable like transformation that's happening over many years to come.
Great. Now, obviously, when people are trying to find us for the Coasting Podcast, they're going to go to Facebook, they're going to Instagram, TikTok, these things. And this is where our listeners and viewers find us. So now that we've got them curious about this effort and the next, bits that will be unveiled, how can they either find out about events that are happening in that area or the next thing that's going to be a street that's going to open or whatever? Where should they go?
So they can go to our website, which is mbdowntown.org.
mbdowntown.org.
Right.
Okay.
And that has all of the information, including information about the Downtown Alliance on it. You can go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We have all of those as well. All of our events are usually this time of year are posted on those three platforms. We'll have other messages that we'll be putting out in the fall as well as events as we continue to tell our story of what's happening in downtown.
And if somebody wanted to volunteer in any of this effort, what example would you think they could do?
So I think as we continue to work through like what we need to be able to do, we need volunteers to really help us with outreach, to get to the community, get community to come to our events, come to our community input meetings. Those are really important parts of that. And so that's probably the strongest need we have, is to have volunteers help us bring their friends and neighbors to our events. And so we can work through the details of the volunteers for any of those that do want to volunteer with us. We don't want to use the term ambassador because that's our goal. CAP ambassadors are clean and safe kind of piece of what we do. But we want folks that are really champions for this community to serve as volunteers for us and really help bring people to the information to get really accurate and reliable and timely information about what's happening.
So instead of ambassador, from what I hear, the kids say that you need a hype girl or a hype guy.
Yes.
So that's what you're really.
I'll have to talk to my kids about that and see what they say. But yes,
I'm just so thankful that you could come and really begin to explain just the many layers of what this is. I mean, in this conversation, everybody's learning, for Jason and so many of the people involved, this is not just a project. Okay. It's really understanding how you need to cherish, what was, something so special to people and renew it with life and legacy. And, some might say you're leading an old-fashioned Southern revival. Okay, Jason. So locals and visitors are going to need to lovingly close the chapter on what was. I mean, times are different, but this is still very much a place where pride is here and can grow. And so for anyone who's listening, who's, written downtown off, maybe this is your invitation to take another look. What do you think?
I do. We invite any and all to come downtown and have a conversation and see what's happening.
Right. I mean, go to an event, visit a restaurant, walk the area, and notice what's changing.
We
have
have a
that
perfect
conversation.
Event,
Oh, bring it on.
We have a coffee with the community event that's on the third Friday of every month from 8 to 10. Starting this fall, we are going to bring in guest speakers.
Awesome.
Not just speakers, but to have a conversation with folks. So this is a new change to an event that we've done the last couple of years, where you would come in to talk to the MBDA staff. Now we're going to bring folks in, like the fire marshal, for example,
Awesome.
or the city manager.
To understand all those
mhm.
logistics.
Yeah. So if you have questions specifically about what's happening, they can answer those questions for you.
So again, well, I want to make sure to repeat that third Friday of every month from what time?
8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
You're going to make us wake up early for this.
I am.
Oh my gosh.
I'm an early riser, so we
Great.
want folks to.
Yeah, what time is calisthenics,
Yes.
right?
But it's a
So-
really it's really more of an informal meeting to really kind of gather and just ask questions. you know,
And
so-
where's the meeting held?
So right now it's at our office at 522 Broadway Street.
And will you continue, do you think, to have it there?
Well, it depends. If it expands, we might have to go to another venue. But right now, that's where the meeting is going to be held.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
So
very
it's,
good.
it's designed to be informal, very much like our conversation
Like
today.
we're coasting.
Exactly.
Okay,
You
all
know,
right,
so-
all right.
But we want folks to be able to come in and really ask questions about what it is that we're doing.
I love that you're doing that because, again, that's how people are going to engage, right? You know, I don't want you to wonder or be, coming up with your opinions while you're sitting on the couch. I want you to come right to the people who are in it and give them your suggestions and ask those good questions, because that's the whole purpose of those meetings.
right.
So again, thank you so much. I hope you guys are excited about this effort as much as I am. I hope you're taking the time and the courage. You don't need courage. You just need your debit card. Okay. Just go to that area. There's so many awesome restaurants. Thank you so very much. And
Thank you, Celia.
you know what? There's, do me a favor, you guys, we're giving you this great information. You can tell we're helping you find your people, place. Did you hear that word today? Place and pace. And so, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, because then every time one of our episodes comes out, it's going to let you know, and you're going to hear about something else awesome happening in our area. So we just hope you're really enjoying this podcast so far. Tell your friends about it. And until then, do me a favor, keep it coasting. Thank you.
Did I just see that?
Completely naked guy in the parking lot of the Shell gas station.
Things have been crazy this year.
We have never, ever, ever, ever had this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a good shoe, and I'm all about a shoe. What the heck is pickleball?
That if you get pickled, you have to drink pickle juice.
Ever so slowly, boom.
The executive producer of the Coasting Podcast is Celia Klein. Producer is Michael Lehman of Framewave Visuals. The opinions expressed herein are solely those of Celia, Aunt B, and any special guests. Good news. Agree or disagree? You have that liberty. Special thanks to Jason Greene with the Myrtle Beach Downtown Alliance, new YouTube subscriber Susan McClelland, and Jess, the owner at Winna's Kitchen in downtown Myrtle Beach. And coasting clap to Moises Ruiz and our own podcast host Celia Klein, happy birthday, and another coasting clap to all students heading back to school. We'd also like to extend our deepest sympathies to Coasting Podcast guest, Nick Jackson, and the entire Jackson family for the passing of Nick's dad, Bill Jackson. May you find comfort in the midst of your grief. As always, thank you to all members of the armed forces and their families. May God bless you. Celia is a licensed realtor in both South and North Carolina and would be honored to be your real estate agent. For assistance in either buying or selling real estate, please call 843-321-9646. We encourage you to head to our YouTube channel at Coasting Podcast and hit subscribe. We appreciate you watching and listening. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God.